What does it do, you two? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says. I am your host, and the prophecy foretold nearly a year ago has come to pass. The prediction has been realized. Mission complete. Check. The Rams are Super Bowl champions of the world. I called it. I told you nearly a year ago. I predicted the Rams would defeat the Chiefs in Super Bowl 56 at the Palace in Inglewood, known as SoFi. And whereas KC did not hold up their end of the bargain, it was still a pleasure to hoist the Lombardi Trophy as world champions in the home building after defeating Cincinnati, who was game and put up a nice fight. Respect to Cincinnati. But what did I tell you? Now, I am going to petition the power brokers. See, because I think I ought to be given some consideration to at least entry-level expert status, especially when you look around and you see what the experts are doing. Muppet, Noodles to Beat, just to name a couple. Sniff, just to name a couple. So, we'll see about that, because it seems to me that I'm right a lot more than, say, the junk scientists. But this isn't about grinding the axe. This is about tipping the cap. This is about kudos and congratulations to the world champion LA Rams on becoming Super Bowl champions. And I want this video to be about Super Bowl game balls. Now, I'm going to make a separate video with the game analysis. You know how I like to go into it. But this particular video is simply Super Bowl game balls. New nicknames, because in light of Rams now achieving championship status, some of these guys, I think, deserve some new nicknames. Okay? And I want to give you a parade report because, I had to make an appearance at the championship parade and rally, of course. And finally, in this episode, future projections. So there's a lot to get to. It's been a thrill ride this entire season, from the preseason. And I hope you go back and check many of my previous videos, because I've been chronicling the Rams well before Jared the Golfer Goff was exiled to Detroit in exchange for Matty from the D. And so there are many videos going back that will elaborate on a variety of topics and subjects. But my point is, I have been on this soapbox predicting what you saw for nearly a year now, that the Rams would win a home Super Bowl. And it has come to pass. And I'm in the afterglow. And I tell you what, it feels good. Yeah. I went to a Rams pre-Super Bowl festival in Inglewood, and Tony was there. And so, shout out. Anyway, congratulations to the champions, the LA Rams. And so let's get right into it. But I just want to say, before we start, that this whole ride having this microphone and being able to really delve deep and get into the Rams, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a roller coaster now, from the perspective of the guy on the couch who's been watching the game for a long time. And I appreciate you joining me. I've tried to give you insightful football analysis now, but I've combined it and wrapped it in comedic layers, hopefully that you can get a nice chuckle or two out of along the journey. So I'm going to put football analysis in a separate video. Look for that to come. But for today, let's dig right in with Super Bowl game balls. Super Bowl 56 game balls. Congrats to the champions. All right. First of all, AD 99. Yeah, a beast. And he's at the rally, shirtless. And he's like the Incredible Hulk walking around. He's a beast. And for him to close out the Super Bowl the way that he did, with such force and finality, AD 99, the beast, you could have easily been Super Bowl 56 MVP. That's just how dominant and impactful he was. And it was good to see the emotion, because I remember last year when injured on the sideline, in the cold, in Green Bay watching, almost helpless to contribute, and the tears streaming in the freezing cold. And I felt for him then. And to see those tears again now, a year later, but this time, raw emotion, tears of joy. He repeated over and over how badly he wanted it. And so it was great to see him get it and to release that emotion and to just enjoy it. And of course, right away, they want to know about, you ready to do it again? And so, right before the game tipped off, Rodney Harrison, and I just talked about him in a previous video in Storytime, Football Gods and the Football Overlords. But Rodney Harrison broke the story right before the Super Bowl that should AD 99 win, that he was thinking about retiring. What? And see, that's the same thing they did with the old GOAT. Right before the Rams Tampa Bay game, they have this montage of the old GOAT strolling across the field solo, alone, looking, and there's a little music, and it's like, what? And then there's a story that he might retire. And so, when the insiders get these stories, see, sometimes they know. In the case of Brady, it was true, which is still kind of a trip because he went out playing at such a high level, and I would have picked him for MVP personally, but then, I don't necessarily care for old COVID toe, so there's that. But I digress. It was good to see AD 99 get that chip. And when asked about retirement, he was very non-committal. And so it makes you wonder, is this a real thing? Is he really, now that the deed is done and the chip is won, is he really thinking about hanging it up? Why, this is just the beginning. I told the story in Storytime about Weeping Dick, how he said that was the worst decision he could remember making, Weeping Dick, walking away as a champion, leaving the Rams, the greatest show, the 1999-2000 Rams, leaving them to the devices of Mike Martz, who I called Pillsbury. Woo! I have a nickname, and new nicknames are coming. But I just caution the early retirees. You don't get the years back. Once they're gone, they're gone. You have so long. And sometimes maybe it helped for Gronk. Maybe it helped him. He gave them a year to kind of get his body right. And then you come back. But for other people, they don't ever really. Although, look at Weddle, the Weddler. Okay, there's the first new nickname. Eric Weddle deserves a nickname. And Eric Weddle is henceforth the Weddler. I mean, come on, Weddler. Balling out. I get ahead of myself. My point being, not very long after this whole AD 99 might retire business, why my worst nightmare bubbled up from the media that Sean McGenius might retire? What? Oh, say it ain't so now. Now, wait a minute now. This guy, you just, look, go back and check my last video, the Super Bowl preview video. Because in that video, I laid out, I whispered it because I said, and no, it's really premature, because you got to get the first one. But I laid out how I think that Sean McVay is constituted in such a way that he could be the first coach to do something in the NFL that has, of course, if you're the first, never been done. He could helm an NFL team to 3 straight Super Bowl victories, 3 straight championships, the 3-peat. It's never been done, and McGenius can do it. I believe in it. As I've said for the longest time now, in McVay I trust. But here's the caveat. They gotta want it. You can't say, oh, I got one now. How about the babies now? I think I want to spend time. I want to sail. I want to do TV. I want. And these are the thoughts that immediately popped into my head when they started talking about McWonder was considering retirement. And they asked him, McWonder, are you considering retirement? Are you going to pull a weeping dick? And he was kind of like, well, I mean, I'm in the moment, not the time at the moment. And I'm like, damn, all you got to do, McWonder, is say hell to the no. We about to run this thing back. What you thought, I don't know. But now you know. And he didn't do that. See? He was like, he was hemming and hawing. Stumbling and a fumbling. Well, depends on how we have to give it time in the moment, and we'll see, and let's just in the time. You just say, when they say you're thinking of retiring, you say, of course not. This is a group of guys that I believe in, and I believe we can do great things, and I can't wait to get back to work. Even if you need to take a nice month or so off. And when he didn't do that, it really gave me pause. And I'm like, what? Are they really going to make the same mistake as Weeping Dick? Didn't they watch Story Time? And I'm like, now, Mr. McWonder, I believe he is a covert subscriber, see? What it do, Mr. McWonder? So, I know he knows. He knows. So, I digress. My point with all of that was, AD 99, you are a Super Bowl champion. Congratulations, sir. Take your time. Get your mind right. Get your body right. But hey, more work to do now. More work to do. Right? Unless there's something physical. Don't end your career on just a mental, oh, now I have one, I'm done. Huh? That, like, my final aside on this subject, it always sort of bothered me as a guy from the couch that Barry Sanders retired, walked away from the game when he was within grasp of achieving the all-time record yards for a running back. And I'm like, why you just right there? It's right there. Just finish, get it. And he's like, I'm good. I'm done. And then I thought maybe he'll come back. He needs a year. He's like, nah, I'm done. So it just depends on how the person is wired. Okay. Let's move along. I want to give game ball to what I'm going to call the super rookie on defense, E.J. Ernest Jones. Yeah, he balled out. He got him a sack in the Super Bowl. He was flying around, hitting. Nice job. And see, that again flies counter to the idea that the Rams just throw all their picks away. They draft. AD99 was drafted in-house now, okay? They got rookies, Ernest Jones, Cooper Kupp. We'll get to Cooper Kupp in just a bit. Let's move it along. Von Miller, I call him the Space Cowboy. I'm going to have to leave it there for Von. But I will say this. He made such a magnificent contribution to the championship run. He seemed to get better every game, especially as the playoffs got underway and progressed. And the influence that he seemed to have on the locker room, especially on AD99 and the other guys on the defensive side of the ball, his connection with OBJ, and we'll get to Odell. It was Les Snead, the riverboat gambler. Hell of a move. I'll call it when I'm right. So if I miss it, I'll call that. I wasn't certain about the move at the time, but Les Snead, the Von Miller move, kudos to you, sir. That was a hell of a move. Now, here's the thing. You gave up Kenny Young to get him, and it might just be a rental. See, and just as soon as I give him congratulations, you see how I'm still questioning it. But you gave up Kenny Young. That was your young guy for Von Miller now. Now, he's a free agent. So he might want to go into a bidding war, and you are cash strapped. So you might have just bought yourself a rental now. And you got the chip, and so you can't complain about it. And so I'm not. Space Cowboy was balling out. Got him a couple of sacks in the Super Bowl and played well on defense alongside AD99 and Floyd and this gentleman, A'Shawn Robinson. What? I'm going to call him Big A. Big A? This dude is a massive dude, and this dude is like a black hole, because when the run comes in that vicinity, he's sucking the back up. You're not running on A'Shawn. Big A. Hell of a job. Being sturdy like a rock in the Super Bowl against the run game. And solidifying that defensive line, not just in the Super Bowl, but the playoffs and even prior. Game ball, A'Shawn Robinson. Big time run stuffer. Game ball, to the Weddler. Eric Weddle. Come on now. Everybody knows the story by now, right? On the sofa. Huh? Couple years out the game. Not thinking about it. Rams are having injuries and issues. And which just as an aside, welcome back Taylor the Rapper, because I initially didn't know if he would make it back after missing so many games due to that concussion. But Taylor the Rapper going down was another one of the contributing factors into the need to bring in the Weddler. And Taylor the Rapper, in fact, did make it back and play well. And after the game, after the victory, as a Super Bowl champion, Taylor the Rapper proposed to his girlfriend. And I was like, dude, I hope that isn't leftover issues from the concussion. That's all I'm saying on that. Congratulations, I hope, to Taylor the Rapper. Yeah, man. But the Weddler, wow. To be able to do that, to come back, to play so many snaps. And then we find out that the Weddler tore his labrum, tore his pec I believe it was the first quarter of the Super Bowl. It was a pec, I believe. Or maybe a shoulder. The point being, the guy played through it. He played through whatever that injury was to keep contributing on defense, and he is a Super Bowl champion. You can never take that from him, and that's a hell of a story, and they'll probably make a movie out of that. They'll probably have Matthew McConaughey. Right on. They'll probably have him playing the Weddler. Look for that at a movie theater in the next 2 to 3 years. And finally, on defense, let me send a big shout out to the defensive coordinator, Raheem Morris. I'm going to have to call Raheem No Radio Raheem. Because at the rally, No Radio Raheem went rogue. He went he went off the grid a little bit. He jumped in and he cut off Curry Price and started cussing. I said, oh, maybe this is why No Radio Raheem can't get a head coaching job. He goes rogue. Okay? Curry Price is a long-time local LA politician, and he's like, it was boring now. He had a plaque. He's reading this, whereas and hereby the city and the county is thankful and happy to see, right? No Radio Raheem jumps on the mic. Let's turn up. Y'all ain't turned up. And I'm like, damn, I think radio, no. At that point, I was okay with Radio Raheem. I think Radio Raheem been sipping a little bit. But then, as the proceedings went along a little bit, he got a little more bolder, and he jumped up on the mic and started, we fucking here. We here. And I was like, damn. And like on ABC, I recorded it on ABC. And when I looked at it in retro, they had a delay on it, so they were able to bleep it all out. But I'm like, damn. And then Sean McVay, he jumped on the mic. He like kind of got the mic away from No Radio Raheem when he started cussing and whatnot. And then Sean was like, yeah, how about the players? Yeah, you know. And kind of got Raheem back away. What? Okay. So, hey, there's that. But beyond that, the man had the defense playing. The defense was progressively getting better and better as the season went along. From early on when they were getting run gouged to death to by the end, you couldn't run on them. They've patched the holes. Whatever was wrong, No Radio Raheem righted it. Okay? And maybe if he could contain himself, maybe he can get a head coaching job again. We'll see. But for now, I'm happy to have him come back as defensive coordinator next season. We'll see how that plays out. All right, now, on the offensive side of the ball, let's give out some game balls on offense. First of all, I've been calling Cooper Kupp Crazy Legs. And that was a shout out to Elroy Hirsch, who they called Crazy Legs. And he set records for the Rams back in, the 50s? And Cooper Kupp has got the K, the C, and Crazy Legs, and I was like, Cooper Crazy Legs, and I was like, yeah, I like it. And he gets a lot of yards after the catch. I'm like, yeah, Crazy Legs, I like it. But it turns out that Elroy Hirsch, the original Crazy Legs, was named Crazy Legs because he had some kind of leg deformity or something. So when he ran, it looked like he was spastic. And so they call him Crazy Legs because he ran like something was wrong with him mentally. And so I was like, you know what? All due respect, Elroy Hirsch, the original Crazy Legs, Cooper Kupp deserves his own unique nickname, right? And so I was thinking of different things. What could I was trying to come up with something. And it came to me very simple. I hadn't heard it anywhere. I don't know if it because it's so simple, somebody else is going to think of it. Or, I think they bite off me sometimes anyway. But that's neither here nor there because I get tens and tens of views. My point is, I think I'm going to call in honor of his Super Bowl exploits and his record-setting season. He had over 2,400 yards, the most, when you count regular season and playoffs, the most yards by a wide receiver in NFL history. Cooper Kupp, Crazy Legs no more. I'm going to just call him Super Kupp. I like that one, Super Kupp. Super Kupp. That's it. That's Super Kupp. Game ball to you, sir. Congratulations to Super Kupp. 15 Wanda, now X Fade. Beautiful. That touchdown sent the Rams down in the Super Bowl history as champions. Game ball. I got to give a game ball to Odell Beckham Jr., OBJ. Wow. Now listen. That was, for me, that was brutal. That was hard to watch. It was very difficult. I felt like there were emotional things about. And this is another thing that I like about the Rams is that, and I can't speak to other teams. I don't know. There's only one exception. And I used to call him Socks, but I got a new nickname for him, but we'll get back to that. But beyond him, it feels like the Rams have what they call the Ramily. It feels like there really is something to it. Like there's an emotional bond. Now, I know it's not necessarily there across the board, and I'm sure it's in pockets. Like Matthew Stafford loves Cooper Kupp, but how much he loves Leonard Floyd, for example. It's as teammates, respect, I'm sure. But the love part of it, the way that Kupp and Bobby Trees, for example, seem to have that bond, And so, of course, on a team that many people, 53 guys, you're going to have different guys that are close and different guys that are just part of the team fabric. But it feels to me like Sean McVay has created this culture where guys can be themselves. If they're emotional, if they want to cry, they can cry. See, all of that old, a man ain't supposed to cry and all of this. And hey, I don't know about weeping at the drop of a hat. That I probably would look at guy crying like that over nothing, or what appeared to be very minor things, and maybe like, hey, you need to get control of your emotions, sir. But the idea that guys aren't supposed to feel or care or grieve or hurt or suffer or rejoice. Nah, we're human beings, okay? And so that's what I take away really from the OBJ experience with the Rams is that you really got to see the humanity of the guy, that he seems to be a fun-loving, humble enough guy who seems to be really well regarded by his teammates and who still has elite level talent. And so after being maligned and chagrined because he was stuck out there in Cleveland, which is another, like Detroit, NFL Siberia, despite the faker, he comes to LA, and then you see, in the right culture, see, he blooms like a flower. Bloom. And then, after all of that, to see the football gods, they're cruel. Because OBJ, I feel comfortable saying, OBJ was on pace to be Super Bowl MVP. He had 2 catches for over 50 yards. Okay? That's 25 yards per catch. And he was running free. They couldn't do anything about it because they were worried about Super Cup. And OBJ was poised to blow the lid off the Super Bowl. And then the football guy got him. And when I first saw it, I almost instinctively, I wanted to blame Matty from the D. I'm like, look at you with your poltergeisty ass. Causing, if you threw it out in front of him, if you let him, that wouldn't have happened because he had to slow and plant and come back to get it. But then I was like, no. You can't blame that on Matty from the D. That is the football gods. His body betraying him. And it's sad. And to see all the emotion, and I know he had to have been overjoyed that they got that championship, and he is a champion forever, but then devastated to be right on the precipice of blowing the Super Bowl up and then to be robbed of it all. And then to have to now mend and rehab and surgery on the same injury, on the same knee. Fortunately, OBJ, in an interview a day or two before the Super Bowl, came out and said he was so happy in LA that he was willing to take less money to stay. And to me, that right there is enough for the Rams to take care of him. They should let him know you don't have to worry about free agency or none of that business. Now, we may not be able to give you a long-term deal, but we're going to take care of you and get you at least a deal for a year or two. Maybe it's on a year-to-year basis for the first year, but they got to cover him, take care of him, get him healthy again, and then give him another chance. But the fear is, of course, and it's a fair one, that at now age 30 and beyond, playing the sport of football, people hit you. And this was non-contact. Can his body hold up? But I think the Rams owe it to him and to themselves to give him a chance to find out. And I believe they will. So it was an emotional Super Bowl watching that play out for OBJ. But man, he looked good before he went down. Anyway, game balls. I want to give Daryl Henderson a game ball. Daryl Henderson, now listen, I'm going to get to projections in a little bit, but Cam Akers in the last couple of games has not looked good. Okay? Really, you could say the last 3. He had all those fumbles in Tampa Bay. And he's been averaging under 2 yards a carry. And in the Super Bowl, he he got repeatedly tackled for loss. And I'll get into the numbers and the analysis of the game, but you gotta wonder, can Cam Akers be your guy going forward next year? Your main primary guy. You don't know what these injuries take away from a guy. And maybe with another offseason to get strong, maybe he'll be back and good as ever or better than ever. But I want to give a game ball to Daryl Henderson for coming in relief. And even though he didn't really get a lot from scrimmage, he did make a couple of really big catches on that wheel route. I mean, critical catches, especially with so many options being unavailable for the Rams in terms of receivers. When you got to go to hands of stone, consonants. These are game balls. Game ball 2. The big man, Andrew Whitworth, Big Whit. I'm going to call him Modi. That's my new nickname for Andrew Whitworth, Modi, Man of the Year. And that speech he gave, the Man of the Year speech he gave, that was another emotional speech. Man, that touched my heart. He seems to be a quality human being. And he's a big, giant, mountainous dude, too. And he was giving Hendrickson the what for in the bowl. So my suspicion, it looks pretty clear that Andrew Whitworth is going to ride off into the sunset. He was Man of the Year, Modi. He won the Super Bowl against the team that drafted him, that he spent 11 years with and that told him he was too old. And he's 40. And he's a left tackle. And so I think that's it. And, you almost can't beat that unless you got you a second one with. But it doesn't really look good for Whitworth. And you can almost not fault him too much. And if that is a career, hell of a career, and Andrew Whitworth will be in the Hall of Fame. And so just like with The Greatest Show, there were so many players on that team that ended up in the Hall of Fame, so will be the case with this team as well. I want to give a shout out to Bryson Hopkins. Man, I mean, in pinch duty, down 3 tight ends, and to come in as the backup and, be sure-handed. He bobbled one, but he brought it in, and he got some plenty good yak on it. He acquitted himself admirably in the Super Bowl for somebody who wasn't even playing due to all the injuries. So, game ball, Bryson Hopkins. And, of course, Matthew Stafford. Now, Matty from the D does have appropriate nicknames. And he's got more than a couple. But one, I think, I'm going to retire. And so, in honor of the drive, I'll call it, and the pass, I'll call it, Matthew Stafford is no longer Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hide the ball from him. No. He is now Dr. Julio. Dr. Julio now, because he was drinking that Don Julio at the rally. And man, I tell you what, Dr. Julio was drunk on his ass, okay? Slurring, and he let that country bunkin' drawl out. Woo! But Dr. Julio balled out in the Super Bowl. Now, there were poltergeist strikes. And I told you, I predicted that there would be. And as a result, this is why the Rams don't typically blow teams out. They leave room. They leave the door open for teams to stick around and to have a chance at the end. But congratulations, kudos and congratulations to Matthew Stafford. That final drive in the Super Bowl with just minutes to play in the fourth quarter, and the Rams down 4, not 3, due to a Johnny Hekker bobble. Did Johnny Hekker place a large prop bet on the Super Bowl? I wondered. But down 4 now, the field goal won't help you as clock ticks down. You got to have a touchdown. And Matty from the D, Matthew Stafford, led the Rams on a 15-play drive. 15-play drive. Only one other time this year had the Rams had a drive 15 plays or greater. And at the most critical moments, in the biggest game of their lives, Matthew Stafford led the Rams on a 15-play drive and cashed it in with 15 Wanda Now X fade. A fade shot to Cooper Super Cup in the end zone. Rams up 3, and the scoring would end there, thanks to the heroics of the D and specifically AD 99. And so, Matthew Stafford, despite his turnover issues, and he led the league in interceptions in the regular season, all season long, Matthew Stafford has been the best fourth quarter quarterback in the NFL. His fourth quarter rating is the best of any quarterback in the NFL. He has 14 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, 0 interceptions. That will get it done. And he, as you know, leads the league among active quarterbacks and come from behind, game-winning drives. And so credit must be given and is due to Matthew Stafford. And at 33 or so, I don't see any reason why he can't give another nice 5 years or so of service. The Rams just got to make sure they have a good, stable, solid, real backup quarterback in place. And Wolford ain't it, Mr. McWonder. I respectfully submit to you. All right, so speaking of Mr. McWonder, game ball to head coach, the main man, Sean McVay, the genius. And listen, I have, quibbled with his play calls at certain points in time in the year, as you know. And let me say this. I have been one of the loudest proponents for Sean McGenius to employ balance and to restrain that poltergeist. Okay? So you know this. And I've repeatedly called for the run game to be employed to base the offense the way you did in the Goffrey years off the run game first, and then let the misdirection and the play action game develop, and let the passing game pick them apart later. That's the answer I always recommended. And by getting out of balance, by going heavy chuck, you invite in the unspeakable one, and you know this. And so I have called for heavy use of the run game as a means to accomplishing the ultimate goal, which you did. But let me say this. In the Super Bowl, I was thinking, McGenius, why are you running so much? Please don't run, McGenius. There's nothing there, sir. This is why I'm going to say, I feel like as long as Sean McVay is head coach of the Rams, every year that he is the head coach of the Rams have a chance to win a chip every damn year. And I predicted in my last video, you see, that now that he has tasted it, now that he's got that taste in his mouth, you see, now the dominoes will just fall. And so I was chagrined to hear him talking about retirement. And so, from beseeching the head coach to run the ball, I found myself in the Super Bowl calling out, you're going to have to start to chuck it, man. How much longer are you going to keep running, coach? But that, to me, shows resolve. And it shows he has been listening to my videos. Throw me one of these now. And so I'm going to again say, thank you, and you're welcome. But I was like, the run game's getting us nowhere. And I'm glad that he saw Cam Akers wasn't getting the job done. So that's where that decision's coming in next year. But Daryl Henderson was the right move, coach. And so was chucking it. And I saw later in a mic'd up where somewhere late in the third, or I don't know if it was the fourth quarter, where he goes, Sean McGenius goes, I'm not going to keep trying to run. I'm like, no, you shouldn't. It's getting you nothing. And so this leads me to the parade. All right, now, I went to the parade. You know, I love a parade. I went to the championship rally. And the first thing I want to say was that I left there feeling so much better about the Rams' future prognosis than when I got there. Because I left there thinking, Sean McGenius still got the hunger in his eye. He still wants it, and as long as he still wants it, I think we're good. I'm like, oh yeah, I love what I'm hearing. And so, Sean McVay, he looked pumped up, he looked rested, he looked all in, and he yelled out, run it back. Yeah, man. Yes, coach, run that damn thing back. I think you can get your 3, okay? But you got to get 2 before you can get 3. And so hearing him say run it back, I'm like, oh, we're in good shape. LA, it's already a destination. And so, now you're the Super Bowl champions. They've shown they take care of their players. They have a culture that is player friendly. They're winners. The city is world class. Okay, so it's just I can't wait to see who the riverboat gambler Les Snead decides to add in to the mix next year. But there are people who will be willing to come and join Super Bowl winning team in their attempt to repeat, even if it means maybe taking a little less to come play and live in LA. No doubt about it. And that's why all the people who keep saying, oh yeah, is this a model every team's going to try to do? They can't all try to do it, because it would require you. First of all, you have to have the culture that McVay has created, and then you got to have a city people want to go to. Because you could have a great culture in Green Bay, but it's like, damn, this is the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin. The frozen tundra. So, it was great to see Bobby Trees there. It was great to see Super Cup there in his Kobe jersey. I love what they both said. Run it back. Believe in yourself. The only one who didn't give the run it back message really was Whitworth, who was like, that's a conversation for another day, which means I'm not. And AD99, he seemed a little bit kind of reluctant still, on the fence. But he was also quite inebriated. So I don't know what's going on with AD. I've heard people speculate, is this some sort of a contract restructure ploy or what have you? It's like, I don't think he would really have to do that. I think the Rams would take care of him if he went to him and said, hey, man, I feel like you need to look out for me a little better. I don't know. I'm just a guy on the couch, but this is what I'm speculating, okay? So the season recap, the team went 7-1 out the gate, just at about the halfway point of the season. But then adversity strikes, 3 losses in a row to drop to 7-4, and the losses weren't competitive. They were ugly, and the questions were swirling. And then they righted the ship, and they ended up 12-5. But that final loss to San Francisco again, it left the door open to questions going into the playoffs, and it left the Niners in. But see, this was how it was, like a movie. I remember when Aaron Donald said it's like a movie, and in a way it was, because it was like, you've got to conquer these guys in order to get to where you want to get to. And in the penultimate game, in the championship game, they had to defeat their boogeymen. And once they beat them damn Niners, that's when I knew the Super Bowl, fait accompli. They're going to win that game. The game that they had to overcome was against them damn Niners. And I give Cincinnati all the credit in the world, but it played out the way it needed to. And so you can check my previous videos on that. Finally, my future projections. Oh, before I do have one other nickname. I was calling Socks. And initially I called him Socks, Jalen Ramsey, because against the Niners, them damn Niners, he was the only one that wore off-color socks. I think all the guys were in blue socks, but he had white. The only one, sort of standing apart, And that resonated for me. And he got burnt. He got lit a fire against them damn Niners as well. And so I really started to look at Socks a little closer than I had in the past. And then I started to really question him when his nickname took on another more ominous meaning. Socks, because he socked his own teammate, smacked the shit out of Taylor the Rapper during the game. And I'm like, come on now. Why would you do that to another man? Obviously, you don't have any respect for the guy, but that's your teammate. You're on the field together. at war against an opponent and you hit your socks. But what I noticed with Sox was that from that point, it looked to me like damn near every game, Sox was getting burnt. Now, in the final game against them damn Niners, he did have a remarkable juggling, twisting, fumbling, stumbling, tip drill interception to which he tipped it to himself and dived and caught it in the end zone and ran it back when he shouldn't have. But he been getting burnt, set afire, lit ablaze, torched, scorched, and otherwise. And so, initially I thought, I'm going to have to start calling him burnt socks. But that's a lot of explanation, burnt socks. So I thought, you know what? I think a better nickname that I'm going to go with for the time being forward, Jalen Ramsey Socks, a.k.a. Burnt Socks, is now Ashes. Because he been getting smoked. Smoked, I tell you. And in the Super Bowl, he got roasted and toasted, set afire, scorched, lit ablaze, burnt up. Human combustion. And I'll tell you one other thing, and I don't want to go too much further. I already have gone on. But on that 4th and 1 in the Super Bowl, when Burrow got caught in the grasp of AD 99, the beast, Ashes fell down on the route against Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase scorched him again. Ashes fell down. And if Burrow could have managed to buy himself another second, he had a home run ball to Jamar Chase over the top of Burnt Socks, a.k.a. Ashes, for the Super Bowl score to win the game for Cincinnati. Ashes. Fortunately, AD 99 showed up big and shut it down. And I will also say this. I did notice Ashes was not at the championship parade and rally today. Interesting, huh? He wasn't there. So, future projections, folks. Future projections. Well, of course, as I've said before, kudos to the Riverboat Gambler, Snead. Looking forward to see what he does in the offseason. I like Bryce Perkins as a backup quarterback, but the Wolford is going to cost you big time if anything happens to Dr. Julio. Okay? So, McGenius needs to take that seriously. Your backup quarterback situation. Your running game, your O-line. You're going to most likely be down a left tackle now. You need a left tackle. So that's something they got to look at, strongly look at. And who's going to be your feature back next year? I'm guessing he's going to go with Cam Akers again, but we'll see. OBJ. I'm hoping he'll be back, but if so, it would probably be right around playoff time. I don't know how long the rehab will take on that ACL, but it looks like hopefully he's going to stay with the Rams and he will still have his time in the sun down the road. And that would be a great weapon going into the playoffs if you get a healthy OBJ back come playoff time. And with McGenius at the helm, the Rams will be in the playoffs. Von Miller, Space Cowboy. My suspicion is he's probably gone. I suspect he'll probably make one last paper chase and go for the dollars where he can get them. And I don't know that LA will be able to manipulate the dollars in such a way to his satisfaction. And now he's got two. he might consider himself a hired gun mercenary the rest of the way. So I don't know if Von Miller would be back, but I'd love to have him back. He's a great influence in the locker room, clearly. And so, as I've said, and I'll say again, I suspect that the LA Rams are going to be a force for the foreseeable future. So how must Jared the Golfer Goff be feeling right about now? Wow. What a ride. Listen, leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. Stay tuned for a Super Bowl analysis, game analysis, and other notes to come in another episode. But many questions remain now. What will Les Snead, the riverboat gambler, do in the offseason? What about all this retirement talk by McGenius and the Beast, AD 99? Is Ashes the answer going forward? What about the run game? What about the hole at left tackle left by Modi, apparently riding off into the sunset? Will Don Julio, the formerly known Matty from the D, will he be able to follow up a Super Bowl championship with a repeat? I can't wait to see Bobby Trees and OBJ and Cooper Kupp all lining up in the backfield or at the line of scrimmage in trips at the same time. And shout out to Van Jefferson, who became a father. That was nice to see as well. After winning the Super Bowl, he has to go and be rushed to the hospital because his wife's delivering a child. So congratulations to all the Rams, Championship City. And until next time, my folks, leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. Throw me one of these. Throw me a couple of these. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until I see you the next time, one love. Yeah. World champs, baby.